Welcome to Terror in Tandem 2023, a podcast about finding entertainment in the macabre, hosted by the knowledgeable and lovable Laura and Richard Mathiasen. Each episode, we discuss the horror genre, from books to film to TV and beyond, sometimes even from the beyond. You can find us online at terrorintandem.com and on Instagram at terrorintandem. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
How many episodes do you think we should say that? Happy New Year.
Oh,
every episode for the month of January?
Nah, just the one. Just the one. Happy New Year. How was your New Year?
It was pretty
realized,
much the mirror image of yours.
Yeah, it was spent with me. We had a great time. Yeah, we had a great time. You know, just keeping
around loved ones,
keeping it chill, keeping it low key.
Yeah, it was wonderful.
I stayed up later than I had anticipated and was real proud of myself about that.
I stayed up later than I had anticipated and much later than you.
Oh yeah. I am early to bed, early arise, makes a man none of the things it's
super
supposed to.
Yeah,
I'm not healthy, wealthy, or wise. What's happening? All I do is wake up early.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think that was like a lie.
Or maybe that there are other things you're supposed to do as well. It's not just waking up early and being like, where's my money? Where's my wisdom?
Yeah.
But anyway, Happy New Year, everybody. I hope everyone is doing well.
We're going to keep this party going through 2023.
Hell yeah, we are. You just try and stop us. Please don't try and stop us.
No, don't.
No, why would
just
you do that?
Keep encouraging us.
Yeah, encouragement, positive
share,
reinforcement.
Follow us.
Yeah.
Not in real life, though.
No.
You'll never find us.
And if you do, we'll just go to another luxury property with heavy security and lockdown.
Exactly. If you follow us, you could be in a lot of trouble.
Yeah. With
our private security is really cracking down on our fans.
And let's just say, not all of them are technically human.
Our fan keeps following us, and our security detail is telling that fan 500 feet, please.
It's a real cat and mouse situation. So what do you want to do today for our first episode of the year?
Well, it's the January highlights.
I think that's a great idea.
We're going to tell you what we're looking forward to in the month of January. First and foremost is the horror of having to go back to work.
Yes.
After such a long break.
I'm looking forward to writing 2022 on forms and crossing it out for at least a month.
Well, at least not many checks need to be written.
That's true. I don't miss writing checks. It felt old-fashioned when I was still doing it, and I can't remember the last time I wrote an actual check.
I just felt a lot of pressure, and still do to some extent, but a lot of pressure to write checks because you have to put the monetary value in number form and in written form, and I feel like I got it wrong in written form a lot.
For many years, it was literally the only time I ever wrote in cursive, aside from my signature. But a signature is not really cursive. It's more like you kind of make it up. But, when you're writing out
You can print. You can print checks. You don't have to write them in cursive.
Well,
there's no rule to that.
The great thing about a new year is it's full of new things to learn.
So
which I just did.
Wait a minute.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
You thought that you had to write checks in cursive.
Yes.
That's
yes, I
great.
did. Yeah. And I have. I always have. I've always written in cursive because I thought you were supposed to. Now that we're digging deep.
Wow, that's
I'm asking
amazing.
questions like, what would happen if I didn't? And the answer is I've never tried to figure out.
Oh, yeah. It's just
Like, does it get returned to you saying, in cursive, please?
No, there's no rule. There's no rule that you need to write out a check in cursive. There's never
This
been.
podcast is not supposed to be find out how stupid Richard is in his 40s.
Oh, that's amazing.
Oh, no.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Wow.
no. Well, listen, the point is we don't have to really write checks anymore, so who gives a shit?
No. Our body can't cash him anyway.
Like, I love the Top Gun reference.
So January, it's a new year, it's a new month, and we have new horror recommendations. Why don't you kick us off?
Okay, sure.
With, whatever you want to recommend, which I bet you it's movies.
No, yes. But I'm going to start off with the TV show.
What?
Yes, and I'm going to freely admit, this is something that I've been aware of for a while. I had no idea it was coming out in January until beloved co-host reminded me.
It's me.
Yeah, and I am so pleased. I am going to recommend, it's an animated anthology series coming to Netflix on January 19th called Junji Ito Maniac, Japanese Tales of the Macabre. So as you can probably tell from the title, it is based on the work of mangaka horror virtuoso Junji Ito, one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Author of Tomi, Gyo, Uzumaki, and many, many others. So this is going to be, I think, 9 episodes animated on Netflix. So it's all dropping at the same time. And it's going to be an adaptation of a number of different Ito stories, but I believe it's at least one or a few of them are focused on Tomi, one of his earliest characters, debuted in 1987, and one of his most enduring and popular ones. Mm-hmm. So like I said, it's an animated anthology. Not a lot has been released yet. It's a promo image and a brief clip so far. It looks great. Junji Ito's involved. It's a right now. I think it's just a limited series, but we'll see. You never know with Netflix. You just don't know.
It is season 1.
Yeah, so that's cool.
I think there's like a hope that there will be more.
I hope so. I'm really looking forward to this one because I'm a huge Junji Ito fan. Later on in the year, I'm going to be talking about a second adaptation that's in the works coming from Adult Swim. That's supposed to come out around October. That is an adaptation of my favorite Junji Ito, Uzumaki. But this one, Junji Ito Maniac, Japanese Tales of the Macabre, January 19th on Netflix. I hope it's good. I mean, I really do love a good adult animated series. So
sounds like it's right up your alley.
It is.
No Airbender, but
Avatar. Actually, there's more Avatar coming.
I know.
They're making a movie.
I did see that too.
Yeah, nice.
Well, mine is also a TV show, documentary.
Nice.
I guess it's a movie, but
hit it.
It's. I'm gonna call it a TV show.
Okay.
Documentary. It's called The Hatchet-Wielding Hitchhiker, also on Netflix.
Wonder what that's about.
And it's a true crime documentary, and it's coming out on January 10th. And it's based on a real account. In February of 2013, Caleb Kai McGavelry became an unlikely hero and even an unlikelier star after a local news clip went viral. Kai had been hitchhiking through California when the driver of the car he was in ran into a pedestrian, trapping him between 2 vehicles. Kai went to assist while the driver went to stop a passerby from helping. And Kai, fearing for the eyewitness's safety, attacked the driver with a hatchet, hitting him over the head 3 times. So this went viral.
What?
His reenactment of this act, Kai's reenactment of this act, went viral.
Uh-huh.
And he got super popular. He had new friends, promise of money, a reality show. And then 3 months later, Kai was arrested and facing prison for the murder that he said was in self-defense. So this documentary, which is premiering on January 10th, describes this as a shocking documentary that chronicles a happy-go-lucky nomad's ascent to viral stardom and the steep downward spiral that resulted in his imprisonment.
Wow.
Yes.
Just when some days I wake up and I think, oh, I'm so overwhelmed. Everything's so complicated. And then you hear a story like that and realize, well, yeah, my life is actually pretty simple.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to that.
That's a tangled web.
I'm not the biggest, like, I did recommend The Staircase, both the documentary and
the adaptation.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the Jinx, that was also an amazing one.
Kill them all, of course.
I'm not
recommended them all, of course.
I'm minimal in my true crime documentary.
For sure. I mean, it's kind of like
recommendations.
It's like the superhero genre. It's everywhere, and there's
also
too
I don't
much
want
of
to
it.
exploit the actual like families.
There's always that. There's always that
I'd
fine
rather
line.
go fictional, but
yeah.
I mean, this seems ridiculous, and I really want to see it.
Holy
and I'm
shit.
really excited
That
to
sounds
see it.
wild.
Yeah, I know. So
Yeah.
that's on Netflix as well.
Oh
January
my
10th.
gosh. Wow. I had not heard of that. And yeah, I mean, it's got a bit of a Coen Brothers vibe to it, like a really weird crime that.
So I don't know. I didn't read anything more about it.
Yeah.
I mean, I watched the trailer. I've been following that this documentary is coming out, but I wasn't really aware in 2013 the extent of this story, nor have I read it since, because I don't want to know. I mean, he's in prison, so my guess is there was foul play, but I would rather see I like watching things unfold on a documentary.
This happened in 2013, and there's hitchhiking. I don't think of it as being a modern practice anymore. It's very much
when we lived in California, I definitely saw it more there.
Yeah. I'm just saying, like, you really kind of associate it more with, like, the 60s and 70s.
Sure. Well, it's not safe.
Yeah. No shit.
Wow.
So my next one is a movie. I am intrigued by this. I don't know if it's going to work, but it certainly got my attention. It's called Skinamarink.
Kidink.
Yeah, this is coming out January 13th on Shudder. It's coming us from our neighbors to the north in old Canada land, by director Kyle Edward Ball. Now, Kyle Edward Ball used to run a YouTube channel where he would solicit real-life nightmares from viewers and readers, and then he would film reenactments of those. I guess he made a pretty good short film that I just found. I haven't watched yet, but Skinamarink, there's not a ton of information out on there. The synopsis is: two children, Kevin and Kaylee, wake up in the middle of the night to find that their father has disappeared, along with all the windows and doors in the house.
Wow.
So it takes place, I think, in the 70s. There's a trailer that is heavy on vibe, light on what the fuck is this movie about. It's a really cool trailer, honestly. It's got that 70s style, that old 70s voice that used to narrate like every trailer from the 70s to the 90s of like, in a world, that kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
But it's very creepy. It debuted at the Fantasia Film Fest this past year, which is my personal favorite film festival. I as a young lad, I attended in the year 2000, which was a long time ago. But that's up in Montreal. Yeah, Skinamarink. It's definitely got a weird, unsettling vibe to it. It was apparently shot on a budget of $15,000.
Wow.
Largely.
That's low.
Yeah. It's a real guerrilla filmmaking, friends and family type deal. So that could be awesome. We'll see. Skinamarink, January 13th on our very favorite Shudder.
I also have a movie recommendation.
I would love to hear it.
So I think this is something that we're both interested in.
Hmm?
And it's called...
Maybe we could watch it together?
It's called There's Something Wrong with the Children.
There is!
And it's...
They're being raised by fuckos.
And it's scheduled to come out January 17th on Paramount Plus.
Is it Paramount Plus?
Or Peacock.
I think it's just rentable, like video on demand, maybe?
And digitally? I guess I don't understand what that means. Digitally and video on demand is what it says.
Yeah, that means it's not free on a streaming service. Like, you got to pay to rent it.
Okay. And we're learning all together, people. And it's Paramount. Paramount will release the film on digital and demand on January 17th.
Cool beans.
So it's executive producers are Jason Blum, among some others, Josh Reinhold, Jeremy Gold. And it's a screenplay by T.J. Kimfel and Dave White.
Okay.
I don't know who those folks are. I do know who Jason Blum is, obviously. So it is a Blumhouse deal with Epix TV.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's like following the tale of Megan, because that's another Blumhouse production.
Mm-hmm.
It's the second release of the year from Blumhouse. And it stars a couple of newcomer children and Zach Gilford, who we love from Midnight Mass.
Yeah, Midnight Mass.
He's also in the new Criminal Minds reboot. He
Is he?
plays a real baddie. And famously from Friday Night Lights, if anybody wants to harken
What's that
back.
new? It's like Criminal Minds Evolution.
It's great. It's just like Criminal Minds, except no Spencer.
Is Mandy
Reed.
Patinkin in it?
No, he was not.
I know he was only in like the beginning of the show, but
No,
is
left a long time ago.
Is what's his name? Joe Mantegna?
Yes.
I love that guy.
Yeah, he's in it. But no Spencer Reed.
Yeah.
Not yet. Maybe he will come back. Everybody's hoping he will.
No Goobler?
Amanda Crew, also from Silicon Valley. She was the financial investor of that show. And Alicia Wainwright from Raising Dion, which I never saw, but from also that Palmer film with Justin Timberlake. She was the one that was holding hands with him while they were filming, and everybody was like, oh,
I don't know.
is he cheating
why
on his
you're
wife?
looking at me like I know what the hell you're talking
It doesn't
about.
matter. Other people might. So it's basically about two couples, and their children are gone in the night.
Yeah, they rent out like a cabin in the woods.
Yep.
The kids go missing in this cave system with a hole in the ground that seems to go on forever. And when the kids come back, they're acting weird.
Yes.
There's something wrong with the children. I'm really looking forward to this one too, beloved co-hosts, because it is being directed by Roxanne Benjamin, who did Body at Brighton Rock, which I haven't seen yet, but she got her start doing some excellent segments in the VHS series and in Southbound. Now, Southbound is a movie I really want to explore when we do an anthology episode, because it's a solid entry, but it was also the breakout for Radio Silence, Roxanne Benjamin, and David Bruckner.
Wow. That's
Basically
amazing.
all got their start, their breakouts in Southbound. So we'll talk about that another time, but I'm looking forward to this one. It's really got vibes of two movies I really enjoy, a Mexican film called Here Comes the Devil and an Irish film called The Hole in the Ground.
Yeah, so check that out.
It looks creepy as shit.
It does. Looks good.
There's a trailer out for it.
I know. Check out the trailer. See
did-
if you want to like it.
I did turn it off halfway through.
Yeah. That's why I was very sparse with the plot.
I just don't want to know too much.
No.
Yeah.
None of us do.
Yeah.
Speaking of knowing too much, let's take a break.
Oh, let's do that. You've finally done it. Moved your family away from the big city and out to the suburbs. But now the commute to your secret murder space is just brutal. You provide for your clueless loved ones. You make sure they have everything they need. who's going to make sure you have the space to vent your demons out so you don't kill your whole family just to make the voices stop? Well, welcome to H.H. Holmes's Home Dungeon Design, your one-stop for custom dungeon and torture solutions. From trapdoors that lead to vats of acid to shackles bolted to the floor, we have all the rotating knives, iron manacles, and medieval torture devices the Catholic Church used to be really into back in the day. And everything's made in America, the way God intended. All of our hidden compartments blend seamlessly into any design and are coated in stain-resistant splash guard. Ask about our hidden sluice gates and fluid collectors. No matter what form your murder fetish takes, we've got the classy, tasteful solution for you. And remember, everything comes with a 100% satisfaction guarantee. If your family finds your kill room, we'll provide a new family, free of charge, with just a modest disposal fee. H.H. Holmes's Home Dungeon Design. Because there's no need to sacrifice style and discretion while you punish the wicked. This is a fake ad for a fake product on a horror-themed podcast. We do not endorse nor condone kidnap or murder, no matter how bougie your kill room is. I feel so broken.
Oh, boy.
From breaking.
I get
From
it.
the break we just took.
I know.
Why? Does that have another meaning? It's 2023. All of our problems are over.
What's your next recommendation?
Oh. So my next recommendation is the big one of the month. It is Infinity Pool, coming from director Brandon Cronenberg.
Oh, is that any relation to the gross out king himself?
Tis.
David Cronenberg?
Brandon Cronenberg is David Cronenberg's son and director of the critically acclaimed Antiviral and Possessor. Possessor came out, I think, 2 years ago. Maybe last year. I can't remember. But Andrea Riseborough was in it. It was... I had mixed feelings about it, but I can't deny that it was an interesting film and visually pretty incredible. Brandon Cronenberg, it's interesting being such a big fan of his father's work. You can see the similarities there, but I'm comfortable saying he definitely has his own voice. Mm-hmm. But the similarities are he tends to make very subversive and visceral movies. So Infinity Pool, high concept stuff too. So Infinity Pool, Alexander Skarsgård is on a vacation at a resort in this weird island country. It's a fictitious country. He meets Mia Goth, our burgeoning scream queen, who promises him, she's, an enigmatic stranger who promises him an experience he'll never forget. I guess a tragedy occurs, someone dies. Skarsgård finds out that there's only one recourse on this island nation that he's on, and that's death. But for rich people, which he is, you can have a clone of yourself grown, and that will be executed in your stead.
Wow.
So it's typical Cronenberg, Brandon Cronenberg, very high concept. Probably going to be a bit surreal and dreamlike. The trailer was fantastic. I love the trend of, horror movies and genre films exploring and taking down the ultra wealthy and the excesses, the hedonistic excesses of the 0.1%. For a lot of years, it was like, I don't know. I read an article recently where it's like, I think it's cool to hate the rich again, where
right.
It felt like for like 20 years or
especially the mega rich.
Yeah.
There's such a disconnect between the mega rich and then everyone else.
When I say rich, I'm not talking about the well-to-do. I'm talking about the people with enough money to buy islands and politicians. Now, but for the last 20 years or so, they've all been buying newspapers and media companies and convincing us that they're cool, actually. So we're seeing these satirical and genre-based takedowns of this hedonistic, outside-the-law lifestyle. And for someone like Brandon Cronenberg to tackle that subject, I'm very interested. Also, Neon has just been crushing it lately with their releases. The past couple years alone, they've got Pig, Titan, In the Earth, Triangle of Sadness. They've just really been nailing it in this kind of middle road between what you would consider like traditional horror and just something very, very uncomfortable. Maybe mixing the genres together to create something that could be described as horrific, but you might not characterize as a horror movie. Although I'm comfortable saying Infinity Pool is probably going to be a straight-up horror movie.
Yeah.
Brandon Cronenberg. Possessor was a very interesting film, and it was gory as hell.
Oh, yeah.
So I expect this one to be no different. Infinity Pool, January 27th. Catch it in theaters and put your masks back on.
Well, listen, before I go into my next two recommendations, which are books,
Ooh.
I just want to talk a little bit, and you might have some input, of things that I'm looking forward to that are coming out this year. I'm just going to mention them, and I'm not going to go into them because those are going to be like the monthly recommendations that are sure to come up.
Suggest that maybe we could do a quick little thing like that, but then I didn't think you would want to. This is a lovely surprise.
Well, maybe you should talk to me.
Maybe you and I should stay in the same luxury property once
Do you
in a
have
while.
any other recommendations?
What
about Last Voyage of the Demeter?
No, actually, that got delayed.
Oh.
That's not coming out in January anymore.
Okay.
That's why I didn't do that. So, listen, I am aware that Megan is coming out. I hope it works. I like movies about killer dolls. I like James Wan. I'm just not sure about this one. I saw the trailer. I don't know. I hope it's good. And the other one I briefly want to mention, I'm not sure it's coming out in January. It's been very hard to get information on this, is a Filipino film called In My Mother's Skin. It's the second film by Kenneth Dagatan after Ma. It's brief synopsis, I guess during World War II, a Filipino family living under Japanese occupation steals gold from them, and they seek help from some American soldiers and, quote, a beguiling flesh-eating fairy. So played at Sundance to some real buzz. It's got a Pan's Labyrinth kind of vibe to it, but maybe a little darker. And there have been some really interesting projects coming out of the Philippines the last few years. This is I believe a co-production with Singapore, the Philippines, and I'm just, if it comes out in January, I'm looking forward to it. I couldn't find enough information to make it an official recommendation, though. But keep an eye out for In My Mother's Skin.
Well, I have a couple of books to recommend.
Do it.
One is How to Sell a Haunted House, and that's by Grady Hendrix. Grady Hendrix is the author of the Final Girls Support Group.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I've heard of that.
And the Southern Vampires Guide to the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires.
These have been pretty buzzy books the last few years.
Pretty buzzy books.
Yeah.
So
also, as an aside, Grady Hendrix, that's a great name.
Yeah. There's a new Grady Hendrix coming out, and that's coming out on January 17th, and it's How to Sell a Haunted House. Just a brief synopsis.
Good. These titles are great, by the way.
Just a brief synopsis is, when Louise finds out her parents have died, she dreads going home, doesn't want to leave her daughter and her ex to go to Charleston, and doesn't want to deal with her family's home, which is stuffed with her father's academic career remnants and her mother's lifelong obsession with puppets and dolls.
Oh, God.
And
Jesus Christ.
she doesn't want to deal with her brother.
I can understand not wanting to deal with that. Yeah.
She especially doesn't want to deal with her brother, who never left their hometown, gets fired from one job after another, and is generally difficult to deal with. So she goes back and realizes that some houses don't want to be sold, and their home has other plans for both her and her brother.
It's like Beetlejuice a little bit.
So,
Yeah.
I think that if you like Grady Hendrix's other novels, he definitely has some humor.
I was going to say they seem
Yeah,
pretty
it's like dark
whimsical.
comedy.
Yeah, I like that.
But also still dark.
Yeah.
Josh Mallerman did a review of this book, and he said, there's a balance of humor and horror.
Oh.
So, if you want to mix your humor and horror together, check out How to Sell a Haunted House, coming out January 17th.
Not bad to get a pull quote from Josh Mallerman. That's pretty cool.
All Hallows is the next book I'm recommending.
So many books.
By an author that I have not read before. His name is Christopher Golden.
I've read Christopher Golden. He's awesome.
Yeah.
He did a whole vampire series that was really good back in the day.
Yeah, so...
wow. I haven't read any of him
he's
in a while.
New York Times bestselling author, Bram Stoker award-winning.
All well-deserved.
Supernatural, set in deadly, distant locations. And so now this is All Hallows. So here's the book synopsis. It's 1984 Halloween night in Coventry, Mass. Trick-or-treaters. The kids find a clearing in the woods that they've never seen before, and then a blackthorn tree that doesn't belong there. All of a sudden, these 4 strange vintage costumed children start knocking on the doors in the neighborhood, asking the kids to hide them to keep them safe from the cunning man.
Ooh.
So these children claim that the cunning man is coming for them, and they want to protect they need the local kids to protect them. But who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows if they will?
That's really cool.
I don't want to give too much away, but it's All Hallows, and it sounds like a really awesome, delightful horror to read.
Yeah, I mean, he's a solid author. He's really prolific.
He wrote Snowblind, Dead Ringers.
And a shitload of Buffy books, too, I think, if I'm
Awesome.
not mistaken. Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
And he has a podcast called Three Guys with Beards.
Yeah, but, if you only have time for one podcast in your life, I feel like you're listening to the best one you could be.
So those are my couple of book recommendations. And so just to go back what we briefly brought up earlier, what is coming out this year that you just wanted to give a shout to?
Oh, gosh, geez. You did bring up earlier a film, Last Voyage of the Demeter.
Yeah.
That was originally supposed to come out in January. It's been pushed back later in the year, but that has been in the works for a very, very long time under a lot of different forms. It's essentially the story. The Demeter was the doomed ship that brought Dracula's coffin from Transylvania to Carfax Abbey in London in the novel, and quite famously rolls up and everyone's dead, missing. So this is like what happened on the journey. And David Daschalmain joined the cast recently. I am looking forward to that. But this year, it's going to be an interesting time. The industry itself is in a real state of transition and turmoil. So we'll see what happens. I just hope we get another banger of a year like 2022. That was a really great year for genre filmmaking, and I hope that I know that the streaming wars are in full effect right now, but I do hope that streaming services remain a place where genre filmmaking gets made, where risks are taken because the stakes aren't as high. You don't have to make $1 billion. You can make mid-budget movies. That's
But you
what
have to go out and see them.
I do hope that trend continues, though, of taking risks on smaller properties and not everything having to be a tentpole.
Well, I'm just going to run through some things I'm looking forward to. I'm going to first start with books. There's a new book coming out in a couple of months called Don't Fear the Reaper by Stephen Graham Jones, who
cool, yeah,
is like my new favorite author.
He did the one about the Blackfoot
Only
Indians.
Good Indians.
Yeah.
A House with Good Bones by T. King Fisher is coming out as well.
Gosh, she is prolific.
And
she just had a book come out this year. It was past year.
for TV shows, a couple of interesting series are coming out. Crystal Lake is going to come out on Peacock.
Yeah, the Brian Fuller show, which, if not for his involvement, I would not really be interested in this. But
Welcome to Derry, which is going to be about Derry, Maine.
Yeah.
The Salem's Lot.
By Gary, the Gary Dalberman is directing.
And then some of the films I'm looking forward to: Knock at the Cabin, which I will talk about in a couple of months. Scream 6.
Which just dropped a teaser trailer that is really good.
And The Strangers, which I don't know if I'm going to be excited
I
about.
am.
More to come in future episodes on that one. But that is one of my favorite horror movies. So legends would have it that I would also be excited to see.
We'll see.
A new one. It all depends on who's behind it and what the
Agreed.
what the trailer looks like.
Agreed.
Can they capture the subtle horror of the first?
This isn't horror related, but now that James Gunn and Peter Safran are in charge of DC Films, I'm excited for them to lay out what I'm hoping is a more cohesive plan for those properties, because I love those characters, and I'll be honest, I was not a fan, and I have not been a fan of most of the movies that have come out during the Zack Snyder era. It's just not my vibe. It's not my style. And I am a big James Gunn fan. I'm looking forward to seeing what they have up their sleeves. And I tell you, I was rewatching some scenes from the 1978 Richard Donner Superman with Christopher Reeve, and I really do miss that shining beacon of optimism that Superman is. And I would like to see a Superman movie where he's, the Superman we all know and love and look up to, not a scowling, neck-snapping murder monster.
Yeah. Well, we hope that your January is filled with promise and good fortune and
peace and magic, everybody.
We'll do our best to give you good content to listen to.
Yeah, we hope you'll stick with us this year. It's been a real pleasure. And
you will stick with us.
I mean, yes, we did warn you about signing that contract in blood. But and you did it.
Now we get the payment.
Your delicious souls.
So we'll see you next time.
Bye, everybody.
Terror in Tandem is written, produced, and recorded by Laura and Richard Mathiasen, and edited and mixed by Richard Mathiasen. Our theme was written and performed by Carrie Denver, and all other music was written and performed by David Hispanic. All opinions expressed on this podcast are our own and should be taken as such. Thanks for listening, and please remember to give us a like, a review, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. See you next time. We're still